Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. My name is Paul Duffy, as you probably know. This is kind of an introduction into Renewal by Anderson, canvassing, door-to-door marketing, sales, whatever you want to call it. It's up to you. I like to call it advising. That's typically what we're doing out there with the customers. We're not selling them windows. We are selling an idea, but the only way that you can sell that idea is by advising the customer on what is best for them. That is your role out there. That's your job. And the quicker that you realize that and harness that, the better off you'll be. So I want to make this video because I wanted to discuss a bunch of different things. I wanted to start at point A. The things that are difficult that you can't just take out of a piece of paper and use. That being said, I wanted to kind of start with a brief history of my experience with this company and, why I do what I do and how long I've been doing it and so on and so forth. So, I started back up in Boston a while back at the Boston Renewal by Anderson. At the time, I was in a horrible condition in my life. I had been an addict for a number of years, probably closer to 10 years, 8 years or so. I had gotten in all kinds of trouble, in and out of jail, prison, and just a lot of bad experiences, all brought on by myself. Started off at a young age out there in the world, homeless and living with friends, living behind the high school in a tent in the back of the woods. Getting into trouble, running around the streets all night, just doing a lot of negative things, putting a lot of negative pressure on myself. Quite honestly, I never saw my life going past a certain age. It didn't work for me. I could never picture myself being older. I could never picture myself having kids or taking care of another person other than myself. I was very selfish. I was a very selfish thought, and I have to say that this company's made all the changes or helped me along making all the changes. I'm not going to go much into the religion of things and what motivated me that way, but I want to go into kind of how I changed the way that I worked and how Renewal by Anderson helped me do that. So I started back, and I think it was 2009. Not 100% sure. 2008. Started back in 2008, 2009 with Renewal by Anderson. I was hired on to go door to door to set up appointments for homeowners in areas that we had done work, kind of like you're hired on to do now. The only thing different back then is that we did not have a developed system. We had a script, we had a base and basics and whatnot, but we did not have a developed system. We had no problems with the window training. We had no leaders willing to teach us these different issues and whatnot, and we kind of had to make do with what we had. Personally, I started, again, in a very bad place in my life. I had never dealt with people before. I had never done any kind of sales job or marketing job before. I was very nervous to get out there and do it, and I felt like I had been hired on just because they needed people. And, to be quite honest, I didn't really want to start. It was kind of one of them things where, hell, I have to get a job. I might as well do this one. It's better than what I have now. At the time, I was working in a cemetery before I worked for Renewal by Anderson. So I had dealt with people before, but they unfortunately weren't alive. So I never dealt with people in the capacity as I was going to at Anderson Windows. So we started off with training, went through the first month or so, got in a little bit of a tiff outside of a bar, and, got into some medical issues where I had to miss about a month of work. Everything, again, was brought on by myself. So I got back to work, and they said to me, we're going to give you one final opportunity here, but you better take advantage of it, because if not, then you'll lose it. And I kind of ran from there. At the time, my girlfriend, she was pregnant, and knew that I had to do something. I knew that I did not want to be a bad father. I knew that I did not want to, let that responsibility fall out of my control. I wanted to be kind of what I never had. So, I started working hard. I found more motivation. And, the things that I could do just amazed me. That year, going door to door, I made about $75,000. Again, going door to door. Back then, it was 30 hours a week. I just did phenomenal. I worked my ass off. I mean, I was out there 7 days a week if I had to. The bottom line was I was going to do whatever it took to make that money. So what I did was I wrote, and I'm using a calculator right now, is I took $75,000, and I divided that by 52 weeks, and that came up to $1,422.30. And what I did was I said, to myself, I said, look, you're never going to make less than this each week. And I said, you're not going to give yourself a choice. You're going to go out there, and this is what you're going to do. If it takes 7 days a week, then that's what you're going to do, 7 days a week. Yeah, they were only going to pay me for 5, but I was going to do whatever I had to do. And that's what I want you to do in your next exercise. Write that down quick. Write down what you want to make for the year. So just take a second to do that. Take a second to write down whether it be $50,000. Here's the thing. Don't make it less than $39,000. Why not make it less than $39,000? Well, $39,000 divided by 52 weeks out of the year, that's $750 a week, okay? That's not bad, but in this business, you can do much, much more than that, okay? So don't cut yourself short. But like I said, don't make it less than, in a 35-hour work week, don't make it less than $39,000 a year, which is a good place to start, okay? I'll write that down quick, think about it and whatever you want to do. Okay. So hopefully we have that down now. That should be your motivating number. That should be what you're going for each week. Not what you're going for each week, what you're going to do each week to start off. So starting this year. Okay, now if you started kind of deep into the year, if this is right now, if it's June, if it's August, if it's September, or whatever it may be, then just prorate that. So then take that 750, let's say, and times it by 24 weeks. So that's $18,000. Or take that 750 and times it by 48 weeks, whatever you have left, that's $36,000, okay? Or maybe your goal's higher. Maybe your goal is $1,000 a week, okay? Then times that by 40 weeks, and then there you have $40,000. Whatever you decided you want, times that by the amount of weeks left in the year, and that's the number that you're going to want to make out with for the year. Now, here's the deal. Next week, you don't make that amount of money. You're in training this week, obviously. Next week, you don't make that amount of money. Fine. Adjust your goal. Take whatever you missed that week. Let's say that it was $250 that you missed that week, and divide that over 52 weeks or whatever's left in the year. That's another $4.08 per week, okay? Now, you want to try to make it so that that doesn't get too high, okay? But, I mean, that's $250. So you're missing your mark by a significant amount there, okay? See, goals are not unattainable. They're not even close to unattainable as long as you set your mind to them. A good example is the amount of money that you're going to make each year is determined obviously not just by your hourly pay, but by the amount of commission that you make. If by the end of that week you're not happy with what you have, you're not happy with what you've done, then you can't go back, obviously. You want to be tracking that throughout the week. So then let's say on Thursday I realize that I don't have enough appointments in there, I don't have enough demos in there, then I can work depending on what I want to accomplish. Okay? So let's put that to the side for a second. So I started making the amount of money that I was making again. That first year, I'd say after minus a couple months, I went for that 75 grand that year, and I did it. Worked as hard as I could, learned a lot that year. My daughter that year ended up passing away at birth. God bless her. She's my guardian angel now. It was something that there's nothing that myself or my girlfriend could do about it, but it affected my life to the point where I decided to make a change. And there's, I couldn't ask for more out of a daughter. Obviously, I wish that she was here today, but that made a big impact on me. That was my impact point. So here's what I want you to do right now. Hopefully, you've made this decision so far, but if you haven't, regardless of whether you have or not, I want you to write down what your turning point is, what your turning point will be or is in your life. Was it having a child? How did that change you? Was it getting out of college? Was it realizing that you're 30 years old and you've been working for $8 an hour for the last 10 years? Whatever it was that made you realize that you need to make a change, that you don't want to make what you've been making, that you don't want to just do the bare minimum anymore, that you want to make a solid change in your life. Because let's face it, guys, whether you're in my generation, the generation before, or the next generation, we suck. We, by nature, suck. We are trained to suck. We are trained to do less than everybody else. They teach us you must go to school or you must get a job as quick as you can. You must do what you like, your first opportunity that comes up. Don't leave that. Don't take any chances because you'll probably lose out. That's what we're taught. It's this whole government, it's a toxic environment that we're brought up in, whether you have a good family or not. I want to break that now. What's going to be your changing point? What's going to make it so that you motivate yourself to make that $750 a week or $1,000 a week or $1,200 a week or whatever the case may be to start, okay? Because that's going to be important, guys. Whatever you set your goal as, that's going to determine whether or not you move up in this company or throughout the rest of your life. Realize that it's not just about this job. It's not just about right now. What this goal setting is about, this is about the rest of your life. If you fail at this, if you don't put the effort in at this, then when are you going to put the effort in? When are you going to decide to make the change? When are you going to decide to get better? When are you going to decide to do something for yourself and for your family? So, I started realizing this, and that's why I say God bless my daughter. Unfortunately, she passed away at birth, but we, she gave me a good foundation to work off of. She taught me a lot. without even being born. So, God bless her, Alexi. So, I started working on that. I remember my uncle saying to me, my uncle said, look, at what path are you going to go down? Are you going to step back down the path that you were going down, or are you going to step back down the path that you're on right now? Are you going to stick to solid change and continue to make yourself better, or are you going to go back down that path that you had been working on? So I said, I'm going to change. I'm going to change. And I did it for myself, and I worked hard. I worked very, very hard. I was in the office early every day. I got back late every night. I didn't leave till 10:30 at night, which, by the way, I'm not asking you to do at all. That's just what I needed to do to be more successful. I went out and I stopped going out drinking with my buddies and started, going out and reading books or going to church. And I started changing myself, whatever it takes for you. Some of you, it might take going out with your friends more. That might be what you need. But whatever it is for you, I started making goals, personal goals, financial goals, and work goals, and started hitting them. And that was the first step. I started becoming more and more positive and more confident. There was a time where I needed failure. I was dependent. My life was dependent on failure. Whatever I would do, whatever mistakes I would make, I felt like I was so bad that I needed to make mistakes. It was something that I needed to do. And thank God I don't feel that way anymore. So I started working hard. Like I said, I got an opportunity to move up in the company. They were looking for somebody. They expected that it was going to take me a month or two to build a team and start managing a team. I went for the position of team manager. They projected that it would take me about 8 weeks to 10 weeks to start a team. It took me 1 week, and I had 10 interviews the next day. I had 3 people hired the next week, and that was the beginning of my team. The first month or so, I really screwed up that team. I lost probably more people than I gained. I took advantage of the word management and what it meant. Management, leadership, it's not a title. It's a verb. It's something that you actively have to do all of the time. Something that you can't just preach, but something that you have to do as well. You have to be willing to do what you want other people to do. So once I realized that, I started hiring my core people. And we built a team. We became the best team in the entire country, the history of the country, doing this job. We would get 140 demos on average per month on any given month. And I was living large, let me tell you. I was making 100 plus grand a year at the age of 20 managing people. A year before that, a year and a half before that, I was homeless. Less than a year before that, I was locked up in jail. So, it really meant something to me to go out there and be able to help people find jobs that needed jobs, and to be able to actually make a change in my own life, and then therefore in other people's lives too. So, that's kind of where my career started here. From there, I moved down from Boston to Philadelphia. In between there, I went out to Denver. We started a department out there, helped them get started. Went to Philadelphia, helped them get started in San Francisco, visited many offices. We taught a lot of people how to do this job, thousands of people to do this job. Everybody had success. I mean, we were growing. Went down to Philadelphia. We took Philadelphia from $0 a year to $2 million a year to $6 million a year to $10 million a year and above that. Now we're down here in central Pennsylvania, and we had the biggest damn opportunity that we've ever had. I can't even explain it to you. Back at the other companies that I worked at, because they were so large, because they had been doing this for a while, they had all kinds of rules, all kinds of regulations, all kinds of things you could not do. Here we do not have that. Back in the company I worked for, we couldn't do front entry doors, for example. Here we can do front entry doors, and the sales reps love them. Back in the old company that I worked for, we had a 3-window minimum. Here we have no window minimum, because the sales reps realize that if we give them the opportunity to go out there and even try to sell one window, then they can get the whole house. Back there, the sales reps had a 20 to 23% sales close rate. Here today, they have a 35% and above sales close rate for our department. It's a huge difference. So we have all the opportunity in the world right here. You have all the opportunity in the world right here in central Pennsylvania. Guys, $100,000 goes a long way in central Pennsylvania, let me tell you. Okay. So let's get you to that level then. Again, this is just the introduction to the job, all right? If you're watching this, and I'm sure that you'll have a good time, a good career ahead of you, and we look forward to working with you. We look forward to having you here at Renewal by Anderson. Thank you.